Hello and welcome to the Perth Gaming Crew Show. My name is Jonathan, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Johnny. How are you doing today, Johnny?
Doing fantastic, Jono. Great to be with you today. Can't believe it's already almost the middle of April. But thrilled. We've got a new guest. Welcome, CJ. Great to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about my favourite franchise.
Awesome. Yeah, CJ, it's fantastic to have you on the show today. Really appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, CJ is a bit of a collector. So if you check out CJ Retro over on Instagram, you'll see some of the collections he's got. Like to celebrate some of the retro stuff with Nintendo, like we do. So perfect for getting on today's episode. Today we are going to cover the Mario Galaxy movie. It is huge. It is everywhere. We've got our thoughts. We've got lots to say about it. Heads up, we're not going to do any major spoilers today, but there might be a couple of little minor spoilers that will. It's a bit hard to avoid that, so we're going to cover a little of those today. And certainly Nintendo themselves put a lot in their marketing in terms of the characters that you would see in the movies and the power-ups and all that kind of stuff. So we are going to dive into all of that stuff. Before we do, CJ, as with all of our guests, we do need to ask you, what is your favourite video game of all time and why?
Yeah, so when you asked me this the other day, I had to have a good think about it for, half an hour or so because it felt like fairly important decision.
You got to get it right.
But my favourite sort of franchise overall is the Zelda franchise. And although my first game was A Link to the Past, I think that was definitely the first one that I played. But I settled on Ocarina of Time, maybe Majora's Mask as well as being my favourite games of all time. I just think that they really built on the story building of the whole Zelda universe, and that was where it all kind of really exploded from, and all it really developed the story, because before that the games were sort of just repeating the same story more or less, but expanding on it each time. Whereas I think like the Ocarina of Time was like the ultimate, to me, sort of fantasy adventure,
Yeah, I think like the cinematic storytelling that came out in that 64-bit era with the Nintendo 64 and then the 32-bit PlayStation, like that was like one of the biggest features for us as gamers growing up. It was like text on a screen and a couple of background effects to like a full-blown immersive story experience was fantastic. Did you play this on the original Nintendo 64? I assume you did. And then did you play it on the 3DS as well?
Yeah. So, to be honest, I probably replay this game maybe once a year, something like that. Anyway, it's a bit of a yearly rite of passage, But yeah, I've definitely played the 3DS version as well. I think it probably improves is slightly on, there's a couple of sort of fixes that it does for like iron boots. It makes them a bit easier, makes the notorious water temple slightly easier to get through.
You need that for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. And I know that there's a lot of rumors. The internet talks about a new Zelda and a new Ocarina of Time remake. You can't escape it. That's the big expectation. What are your thoughts and feelings on that? Are you hoping that happens, or do you feel like don't touch the original, it's too perfect? What would you like?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm all here for it. If they did like the chat is that they're maybe doing a from the ground remake of some description, sort of from the ground up. I'm here for it, and I'll spend another $100 on Ocarina of Time again.
Special edition. There is a special edition without a doubt, gold cartridge and all. Johnny, I'm going to ask you the same question because I know how much you love the Legend of Zelda franchise. Ocarina of Time is one that you're really into as well. Are you excited for a remake? You're hoping there will be one at some point in time?
I'd love to see. I'd like to see something done with Ocarina of Time. I think it's probably the next really cab off the rank, given that the Nintendo's recently gone and done a touch-up of Link's Awakening and other games like that. So I'd love to see something with Ocarina of Time. I mean, I'd probably settle for a port of that 3D version from the 3DS, so it's not just locked to the 3DS, because I actually think that's a really quality version of the game. So yeah, no, bring it on. I hope Nintendo does come and give that 40th anniversary some love eventually, even if they're going to settle on like the North American release date for the anniversary next year.
Might well be. Well, at the moment, Nintendo has got the spotlight on Mario, and that's what we're
Sure do.
here to discuss today. So we've all seen the latest Super Mario movie, Super Mario Galaxy. We've got a whole range of thoughts on that, and as I mentioned, we're going to talk about some of the characters, like the ones we like, some Easter eggs in there as well, and favorite scenes. But I just want to start with, for both of you, coming into this movie, you've seen the original movie. Having seen the original movie, and I'm going to start with you, Johnny. With the original movie, what were your expectations of a sequel coming into this, and did it kind of hit the spot for you in that sense?
So with the original, because obviously I knew it was being done by Illumination, and my daughter had grown up with the first couple of Despicable Me flicks, I kind of knew what to expect. I thought it would be kind of almost like a Minions flick with a Mario skin, but it was so much more than that. The original, the first one in 2023, and I will say, if you haven't caught it previously, go back and watch John's review of the 2023 Mario flick from a couple of years ago. It's hilarious. Go check that out if you haven't watched it already. But in terms of expectations for the new Mario Galaxy movie, I kind of expected that we'd get, we'd obviously get a quality animated flick. Illumination is pretty reliable in that respect, and so I was kind of all here for it to see what they would do next. And for me, they didn't disappoint. I had a great time with this one.
Awesome. CJ, what about you? Because you are a huge Mario fan too. And the very first Mario movie, I guess, was really grounded. Like, we saw Mario and Luigi with his family, like they're eating pasta, they're doing the plumbing jobs, and they get introduced to this mushroom kingdom, and it's all very fantastical from there. But it could have gone in lots of different directions. They could have made a Smash Brothers focused movie. They could have followed, the Super Mario Sunshine or Odyssey route. Paper Mario, they could have gone a lot of different directions. What about for you coming off the first Super Mario movie into this one? What were your expectations, and were those expectations met?
Yeah, I mean, the first movie, I think it ticked all the boxes, but it did it was really good, don't get me wrong, but I think it played it pretty safe in the Mario universe. There wasn't any, I think they got the characters sort of right.
Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's it. And I think the casting that they used, Jack Black as Bowser, he's one of my favourite actors, and he just fits Bowser so well, And then, like I say, Donkey Kong, even Chris Pratt as Mario. When I first heard that one, I thought, I don't know how that's going to fit, but it was just perfect, Like the expectation with the first movie, it probably could have been like a one-off, but as soon as we obviously saw the ending and stuff, there was a whole world that they could continue to build. And it was, at first, I didn't expect them maybe to go down the route of Galaxy. I wasn't sure where they were going to go, but I thought maybe they would go down more of a Super Mario Bros. Super Mario World, Dino Kingdom route,
Yeah, true.
But then they surprised me anyway with the Galaxy movie direction, and I was like, cool, there's a whole world to explore there as well, so let's do it.
Yeah, nice. No, that's good. Well, let's dive right into it then. And then, look, what I'll say in terms of my expectations is I really enjoyed the first Mario movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked that it had that kind of more grounded approach, like it introduced, because there's a lot of people who go to watch these movies who only know a little bit about Mario, or weren't gamers growing up, or don't have a favorite Mario game. And I kind of felt like there was something for everyone there, in terms of bridging that gap. And then I didn't know where they were going to go next. I kind of thought it'd be cool to explore like different avenues, like the Paper Mario stuff, and you could do some visually interesting things that way. It was clear they were always going to bring in new characters. I was kind of surprised they dropped Donkey Kong, although I hear they're doing his own movie and maybe there'll be a Luigi spin-off, and who knows? Like, you can see it branching out to its own cinematic universe, as these things tend to do. But yeah, when they announced Mario Galaxy, I think what was also surprising for me is that we haven't seen a new Mario Galaxy game announced, and Nintendo has instead leaned into the original Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 games, which people are perfectly on. Don't you worry, we're going to cover that in the second half of the episode, because how can we not? It's so related, so we'll be covering those as well. So it's quite a delight to see that, oh, okay, they're doing the Galaxy games, but they're incorporating the broader Galaxy concept. So that just gives you a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things, as we see in this movie. So on that, Johnny, you went into the movies, you had, fair but reasonable expectations. Tell us about your overall impressions of this movie. Did you walk out angry? Were you annoyed? Are you turning to the Sega franchise, or are you going to stick with Nintendo and you're quite happy with what you've seen? What were your overall impressions?
Yeah, I was about to go gather a mob of shy guys and cause some trouble at Nintendo HQ. I really enjoyed it. I saw it twice at the cinema, because the first time when I went and saw it with friends, it was the end of a work week. I was dead tired, and I thought, I'm not going to remember any of this when I have to talk about it with Jono and CJ. So I went back the other day and watched it when I wasn't dead tired, and actually really enjoyed it because I got to really soak in all that extra detail, and there's millions of Easter eggs that are dotted throughout the flick. I think it's just a really good time. And I know there's been criticism on the movie from movie critics who go, oh, the character development isn't very sophisticated, and lots of those kind of critiques. And my perspective on that is a bit, look, it's a Mario movie. Don't go in expecting I don't know, some Shakespeare or something like that, because it's got a simpler kind of story and that kind of thing. But I just thought it was so much fun. It kept me entertained. The pacing was really good. It felt like I didn't feel like I was in the movie for that long. It seemed to flow quite quickly. Considering it's got a not insignificant runtime, but it doesn't feel like a long movie to me. I don't know what you fellas thought.
Yeah, CJ, how about you? What did you think overall for this movie, and then compared to the first as well?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've not been back to see it a second time, unfortunately. Yeah, I've not had time, but I definitely will be at some point over the next week or so to go and soak up more of the obscure references. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of, like you say, there was a lot of the critics were saying that the character building wasn't very, very good, but it was lacking in that sort of area. But to be honest, I felt like I got to know all the characters a lot better, and they were as I have always imagined them being in the video games, or even back to the sort of the older games. I really enjoyed the cameos, and the references that were in there. The soundtrack, again, it's like all the classic sort of games were all represented there in some form. And I'm a big sort of soundtrack sort of geek, so that sort of stuff gets me every time. And yeah, just sort of the nostalgia factor of a lot of it is just awesome,
Yeah, I had the same kind of impression as both of you overall. Even though it's a Mario Galaxy movie, this movie just draws on multiple forms of Mario, across the 2D and 3D genre. It was really nice to see, even in this trailer that was shown, it's oh, Mario Odyssey gets some love. And I remember seeing that, and I was oh, I really love that desert level. It's really cool. And just the way they interact with Mario and Luigi, really fantastic. Yeah, I had a great time. I think I enjoyed this movie as much as I enjoyed the first. I think it's good for different reasons. This is definitely kind of like your buffet of Mario experiences is how I would describe it, in that you sort of go through so many game references, in terms of the platforming and all the other aspects that we see Mario involved in. Even, again, at the start of that trailer, there's a little Mario Kart reference where they're on the speeder bikes, and we saw a big chunk of that in the first movie. But I really enjoyed this. I took my daughter with me. She's 5, and I think the good thing that this movie does is it has that broad appeal. Like it's got to be an entertaining kids movie. It's got to be an entertaining movie for adults. It's got to be an entertaining movie for everyone, all different people in the audience, and it's got to kind of give the Mario fans what they need. Like you're expecting the power ups, you're expecting Luigi to have his moments of being scared, and you're expecting this kind of banter between Toad and some of the other characters. So I think they pulled it off really well overall. I was really happy with what I've seen, and I'm kind of jealous, Johnny, that you've seen it twice, because there's so much going on in this movie where when you watch it a second time, and I can see like you're looking forward to this, CJ, too, where you're like, oh, now I can focus on that scene and catch all the little bits that I missed. Was that what you felt the second time seeing it, Johnny? Like it was entertaining in its own way?
100%, yeah, because like I said, the first time I'd seen it, I was at the end of a work week. I was barely keeping my eyes open. So I wasn't in the kind of frame of mind to take in all that detail, but the second screening was perfect for that. Because I've been on holidays. So, it is really layered. Like they've packed, we'll come to the Easter eggs shortly, but they really packed in a lot. And there's, so a lot of love for things Mario, but also broader Nintendo have found their way into this sequel. It's pretty cool, I reckon.
It's awesome.
You touched on it there, Jono, as well. I'm so grateful to be living in a timeline where these Nintendo franchises are like coming up on the big screen, and I can go and experience them with my daughter. And it's awesome that this is all happening now.
It's kind of a treat from our generation because we grew up with these games on the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, and we will talk about favorite scenes and all that stuff. We'll come to that soon, but it's just like throughout the entire movie, isn't it? Like there's not just the odd reference and then it's all Mario Galaxy or something entirely new that is, without spoiling anything, not related to anything in the Mario games or the Mario universe. It's you just kind of going, oh, I know that character. Oh, they're in there. Or that's going on. Oh, I know that kind of level. Oh, that's from that game. I don't know if you guys had the same. But even more than the first movie, it was just like constantly like one thing after the other going, this is a smorgasbord. Yeah. So, look, no movie is perfect, I don't think I would give this movie a perfect score, and we're going to dive into, again, the characters and Easter eggs soon. Was there anything that the two of you didn't like about the movie? And I might take the reins here.
Go ahead,
for me, personally, I really wanted Donkey Kong. I wanted Donkey Kong back. But I respect that with the introduction of new characters and the growth of existing characters, it would be too many to juggle, and other characters have that role. Like, for example, Yoshi's been a big highlight in the marketing material, so there's more of a focus on Yoshi this time.
DK is technically in it. He gets a 3-second cameo towards
Where are you
the beginning.
going? Where are you going? Come back. I see what you did there. It was awesome seeing that. I really liked seeing that. Otherwise, I think there was less of Mario himself in this movie, which I didn't mind because, again, other characters come forward and have really prominent roles without spoiling anything. So it is more of a shared kind of, what do you call it, like a big group of famous actors all together, like sharing the spotlight. But Johnny, over to you. Was there anything that kind of let you down or you didn't like? The animation was just terrible, wasn't it, Johnny?
No. I mean, like I thought, I don't really have any
it's
nitpicks.
Perfect.
For me, it's pretty close to perfect. I'm trying to think if there was anything glaring. Something I've heard people talk about is they probably could have, maybe Brie Larson as Rosalina didn't get to do a lot because she was kind of there at the start without wanting to spoil too much. And then you don't really kind of catch her again until the end. So that maybe, given how popular a character Rosalina is in the Mario franchise, maybe that was a bit disappointing. Me personally, though, I kind of thought it made sense in the story that they were telling. But no, got no complaints. So I mean, I went and saw it twice. I mean, that's enough. I think, John.
I think so. I think so. And look, I do got to ask you, CJ. I know you're keen on another screening. Do you feel bemoaned that this was not a Mario Paint special movie? Like, what let you down about this movie in particular?
Yeah, I was waiting for the music maker section.
The fly swat coming
swat.
on.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, I'd be clutching at straws to find sort of things that I didn't like about the movie. The movie, one thing was that I didn't find there was enough of Bowser in the movie. I wasn't as big a fan of. Is it Baby Bowser? Is that what he's
Bowser Jr.
Bowser Jr. That's it.
Yeah,
I wasn't
Baby Bowser.
He just doesn't quite seem as intimidating a character but without spoiling things too much, I did enjoy the relationship that was built up between Bowser and Bowser Jr.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, completely get that. No, I see what you mean about avoiding spoilers too, but that was a really cool dynamic in the movie that they explored. Well, I think it's only right that we then move on to the characters first because they're just such a highlight, and I think there's something for everyone in this movie, regardless of kind of which game you've played or not played or who your favourite is and what happened in the first movie. So, Johnny, I'm going to put you on the spotlight. There's a lot to choose from. Of all the characters, is there one that you enjoyed the most, and why would that be if that was the case?
Gonna have to say that Yoshi, the little green dinosaur, is the standout of this flick. I just love all the different absurd situations Yoshi finds himself in, and his responses are always kind of a little bit almost like one-eyed. As you expect, he's a dinosaur after all.
Not a lot of dialogue.
No, it's just a lot of Yoshis, and even when he goes up and like he meets like a crowd of toads, and he's like individually introducing you. He's like Yoshi, 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 Yoshi. I love it's so silly, but I kind of I thought that was great. And he's got one of my favorite sequences in them. A couple of my favorite sequences in the movie are heavily are very Yoshi heavy. So yeah, it was all Yoshi for me. Jono, what about you guys?
I think it's fair to say with Yoshi too, Johnny, like if you're a fan of Yoshi, all the fan service is there. Like even the way he scuttles his little legs, you see it there in that scene, like in the games where he kind of scuttles his legs to get a bit of extra jump. Everything you would come to expect without spoiling things from Yoshi, all these power moves and all that stuff is all a lot of fun. He's done so well. Well, for me, I really liked, and I don't know what yours is, CJ, but feel free to share. I really liked Bowser in his miniature form. He wasn't my favorite character in the first movie. That was Donkey Kong. But in this movie, when Bowser is first introduced to you, you're like, where is he? We haven't seen him for a bit yet, and he comes on screen. He's just hilarious. Like he really dials up the level of comedy in the movie. I think he's like the great part of comedic relief alongside Yoshi and Toad, and he's just very like his integration into the movie is there more than I expected. I thought like Bowser Jr. would be, and he is front and center in many ways, but Bowser's in there quite a lot, and he's kind of arc about how we know from the first movie he was shrunk right down. I think that's fair to say. That movie's been out for a long time, so we're introduced to him in that kind of form, and just to see the things he goes through, particularly towards the end, which I won't spoil, which is kind of hilarious. He's just really funny, and his involvement with all the characters. Yeah, I'd love to say more, but if you enjoy Bowser as a villain or a character, or Jack Black, like you were saying, CJ, he's great. He's terrific on screen. But
Jack Black just owns that role, doesn't he? Completely.
He does. He is Bowser almost. Like it just sort of works really well. Just all the scenes and the throwbacks to the first movie and the way that's connected is great. I just found him so. And look, non-spoiler, like a funny scene is like there's just a scene where like Luigi's patting Bowser because he's miniature, and it's just so ridiculous. Like Luigi's scared of everyone, everything's just like, cute little Bowser, let's kind of keep him this way type thing, and you're just like, how, like, just so funny, like very, very imaginative. But how about you, CJ? Who was your favourite?
Yeah, I was kind of stuck between Pick and Bowser, who you've already
Yeah,
sort of spoken about, for the same reasons, you know. I just think Jack Black, like I mentioned, is like one of my favourite actors
yeah.
of all time. I just think everything he touches is gold. You could cast him as anything, and I think it would work, you know.
Mm.
But other than that, I would say I really enjoyed Princess Peach,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
good call.
especially in a couple of the scenes where she really gets put. She's almost the main character at some
Yeah,
points,
yeah, she
Mm.
is. Hey, yeah, yep.
um, and she gets. And you can see some of the clips that are playing just now. She's quite badass, you know, in some of the scenes.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah, she is.
quite cool, you know.
Yeah, no, Princess Peach takes much more of a more prominent role in this movie. She's quite present in the first movie, but like yeah, she's front and center and taking things on. Very funny, and when she's on screen, I think there's also quite a few game references there, like the use of the umbrella, for example, which we saw on the trailer. Is kind of cool. And you're like, oh yes, I remember that in these games and all that stuff. But yeah, she's done really, really well. Great pick, CJ. It's awesome. Well, I think it would be wrong if we didn't mention our favorite scenes, and there are a absolute handful of these. So if you want to mention more than one, feel free to go through. We won't mention any massive story spoilers, but you can't talk about a Mario movie without talking about your favorite kind of references and scenes. Johnny, over to you. What was one of your favorite scenes in this
So
movie?
my absolute favorite scene in the movie is quite central to the climax of the film, and it features lots of cool 8-bit pixel graphics. So I don't think I can describe that without giving too much of the story away. So I'll park that, and I'll talk about my second favorite scene, which is the backstory montage for Yoshi. So it's very early in the film after Mario and Luigi meet Yoshi, and then they sort of, I think either Mario or Luigi says like, "Where did this guy come from?" or something along those lines. Not exactly that.
Yeah.
And then they show this really ridiculous montage of Yoshi just like hatching out of his egg, and he's like walking around the city like stealing food, and he ends up in like a museum or something. He knocks over like a T-Rex step, like bones or something, and they all come down. And then I was just like pissing myself because it ends with Mario saying, "I guess we'll never know." So like,
it kind of like shows you that he's trying to tell them, but he obviously can't talk, and it just is this great insight into what his life was like before he meets them. And it's like, I guess we'll
had
never
a cool
know.
little like tune, a little bopping tune going on in the background of that montage. So I thought that was very well done. A great way to give a backstory without it being tedious. Like it was fun. Like what more do you don't really need to know too much about like Yoshi's backstory. So that was a masterful way to do it, I thought.
It was awesome and clever too. Like even the little sound effects, like it shows Yoshi coming out of his egg, and it's the egg sound, like from Super Mario World. You're like, that's it. And they've done it all. Like everything is just done so well. CJ, how about you? What was one of your favorite scenes from this movie?
Yeah, so I think my favourite scene was probably, I touched on Princess Peach there before, was the casino scene. It's in the trailers there as well. There was like a lot of cool things going on there with like the physics sort of where it was like I guess a nod to Mario Galaxy, and that walking over an edge and she kind of keeps walking,
Yeah. So it's that moment of like, I can keep doing this. Yeah.
We've all experienced that while playing the Mario Galaxy games for the first time. I think of that.
I know
that crazy physics.
Yeah, that's it. And then in that scene as well, there was like she had a good sort of fight there with some enemies, and there was also cameos in that scene as well, which were an awesome throwback to one of the old NES titles. So
Yes, there are plenty of cameos. Some of those are on the movies, so the on the posters. Oh, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're in the posters. So yeah, there's some fantastic cameos in that scene. You're just like, oh, that's pure joy.
yeah, I
Yeah,
just think there was so much going on in that scene as well. That's one of the ones I'm looking forward to seeing again, because I know
yeah,
there'll be things that I missed that I'll be able to pick up on my next watch.
yeah. You look like in the back scene, even though the big fights are going on, and listening, going, what's going on here, and who did I miss?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
For me, there's kind of really a cool scene fairly early in the movie where Peach goes off for story reasons, and we won't go into detail. And the Mario brothers are left to babysit the Mushroom Kingdom, so to speak, with all the toads. And there's this moment they're like, "What? Like we're stuck with these guys." And it's really clever because you kind of don't. You're like, what's the deal here? What's going on here? And they turn that onto a montage where they do like this kind of throwback reference to the old classic games of the Mario Brothers rescuing or helping the Toads. And it's really clever. It just sort of shows, like, without going into too much detail, it's sort of like what you'd expect of a gamified movie, classic style around the Mushroom Kingdom. And all the Toads have their own little silly incidents, like one of them, their ice cream falls off the cone or something, and Mario sort of uses his like cold power to like, here you go, no worries, I'll fix your ice cream with the new one or something. just silly stuff like that, which is like just a lot of joy, a lot of
Like
fun.
one of them
too.
is like tucking a toad into bed, basically. Like
Yeah. He just and then looks on their face like, what are we doing? Like, what's going? Is this what it's like? This is what she's gonna do? It's just kind of funny. Yeah, it's just so clever, all of that stuff. But people at Perth and Gone, we've talked about the characters, we've talked about some of our favourite scenes. We also need to talk about our favourite power-ups because they're just so essential and quintessential to the Mario experience, and this movie is littered with them. I'm pretty sure the posters, when I looked back, because I was very mindful of spoilers, they showed pretty much every power up like in the games. But Johnny, over to you. What was your favorite power up that you saw in this movie, and why?
hands down for me, it was the penguin suit that Toad picks up in that scene in the casino that CJ just mentioned. Because I won't go into too much of the detail, but the basically Peach and Toad they're in the casino and they're trying to get information out of Wart and his gang, and they're like completely overwhelmed. There's like the little black ninja star kind of enemies. They're just all over the place, and then Toad gets Peach is like fighting them off, obviously, and she's doing a great job. But then Toad gets his hands on this penguin suit and just starts sliding around and cleaning them up. I just thought, I want to play that I'm sure there is a Mario game where you can do that. Yeah, it was just a cool visual, and like Toad just looks like he's having the time of his life. Michael Keegan-Key's Toad is in his element in his penguin suit.
Yeah, it was. It's one of the many hilarious scenes, and just perfect use of Toad being the one who gets that suit. It kind of felt very fitting for him. CJ, how about you? What was the kind of favorite power up that you saw or you thought from this movie that you liked the most?
Yeah, so I wrote down the feather from Super Mario World
interesting.
I think I remember it making a small appearance at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I wasn't totally sure if that was the case. But
no. You're like, yep, there it is. That's it. Just stuck it in there.
It was always my favourite power up in the Mario sort of games growing up. It was just so awesome when Mario could all of a sudden fly in the games, So but then if it was one of the more sort of scene ones in the movie, in the main sort of movie, I would probably say the frog suit. Just because it was always like, I could never figure out how to use it properly when I was playing the games.
No one could.
It was always like such a weird power up, and for him to all of a sudden throw it in there was an awesome nod, you know?
Yeah, mine was the frog suit too. So I weirdly liked the frog suit because, remember in Super Mario 3 there were a bunch of power ups that sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. There's the common ones like the star, and then there's like the frog suit and the Hammer Brothers suit or the Tanuki suit are less common. And then, like you said, the physics and the movement of the frog suit, you're jumping off the edge, Jax. Who didn't do that in Super Mario 3? You got the frog suit, and you're like, I've powered up, and you've just jumped off the edge of a platform because it's so wonky to control. But good under the water, and that's what it's there for. But there's a really cool scene where Luigi dons the frog suit, and he just bashes like a giant blooper or whatever they're called. It's quite short. But again, it's kind of like what you were saying, Johnny, with Toad donning the penguin suit, where you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that on a game. That would be a whole lot of fun. Again, just another little thing they fit in there. Well, before we wrap up with the movie, I did want to check, were there any final little Easter eggs that either of you wanted to mention or bring up before we wrap up this segment? I might throw it over to you, Johnny, first, if that's okay. Were there any little Easter eggs that you felt like you just were really delighted by?
Well, you shouldn't be surprised by my pick, John, because you know what a NES tragic I am. And of course, it was the appearance of Rob the robot in the Gateway Galaxy. Right. I just thought that was just wonderful. And I love that it was very much accurate to how Rob the robot actually was back in the day. He sort of turned around slowly and was like, "Oh, where have I got to?" They asked the question like, "Where have they got to go to get to the like spaceships or anything?" And he just starts turning around slowly. It is over. There's a lot of great comedy out of that sequence, and it was a great scene. I think it was a great scene for Peach as well, because you get to see a bit more, like you get to see Peach just being a little bit like flustered, which you didn't really get to see a lot of in the first movie. So that was definitely my favorite Easter egg.
Awesome. CJ, over to you. What was your favorite Easter egg for this movie?
Yeah, so I think my favorite Easter egg was, without having too much spoilers here, was the inclusion of the Super Scope.
Yep.
I've got the games in a box. So I've never had a Super Scope myself, but it was pretty cool to see them manage to throw that into there and make it like not just a throwaway thing, but it was kind of meaningful. It could even have a reappearance in a future movie if they do more. That was probably my favorite Easter egg in there.
Yeah, nice. Well, mine, and I combed through the people above me on. I've done my homework. I've gone through the posters, the trailers. One character that appears in the posters from Super Mario Brothers 2 is Birdo. And you saw Birdo in the trailers too, briefly. Birdo doesn't get a lot of love. Birdo, I think she's in like quite a few of the Mario Kart games, but Super Mario Brothers 2 is my favorite Mario game of all time. Though I don't know why. I don't get why this kind of nappy-wearing, egg-spitting Yoshi without a mouth creature with a weird bow on the top exists, let alone is like one of my favorites, but it is. So just seeing, I guess one of the best things about this movie and the previous movie is the way these characters and the world are presented. The quality of the animation and the graphics is so incredible that when you see your favorite or one that you like going, gee, they look incredible. Imagine if there was a game like that, or this is the best they'll ever look. No game will match that. It's a bit of a delight. So, yeah, we see Birdo there for that little moment in the trailer. Just seeing Birdo have her time to shine. It was just like, oh, cool. They haven't just moved on to modern 3D Mario Odyssey and Galaxy. They've really honoured and celebrated the legacy of Mario games. Retro gamers like us. So yeah, no, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And CJ, I think you just wanted to give a quick shout out to the music and the sound of the movie. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's gonna. I'm probably gonna have to go and see the film again to really appreciate it again. But I just with the first movie especially, like not just the Jack Black Peaches song, which was obviously massive and really helped with their promotion of the first movie, but I just think that Nintendo do such a good job of like remaking these old songs and bringing them into the modern age, and they've done it over and over again over the years, and yeah, just like you mentioned earlier with Yoshi coming out of the egg, and it's like it almost sets off something inside you when you hear that.
Yes,
when you hear that sound,
Yeah.
In the first movie, I think it was Luigi's ringtone was either the GameCube turn on sound or
Yes.
the Luigi's Mansion sound or something, but
Yeah.
they do such a good job with the music. And yeah, I just wanted a sort of a shout out to that. And we'll touch on it again with the Mario Galaxy stuff as well, because it's all in there too,
Yeah, it is true. I really liked, like, of all the sound bites and the music, I really liked the Yoshi's Egg because it just, I don't know what it was. Like, I have a lot of love for that Super Mario World Yoshi's Island game, and then Super Mario World as well. Just it's so it. There's many iconic things about the Mario games that sit with you over the years, and just going, oh, they've done it. Loved it. Johnny, how about you? What did you think of the music and the sound bites? And was there anything that you liked in particular or you wanted to give a shout out to?
Oh no, fantastic score overall. I just love how throughout the film they weave in, like, in a really subtle way, there's lots of the classic video game music from the different Mario games. They kind of, it kind of gets, you see it flow through. I think this might have been the case in the first one as well, but I feel like maybe in this one a little bit more of, and maybe a few different, from different, maybe a wider variety of games. As, like, for example, when Peach and Toad, after they've been at the Gateway Galaxy, they go to a different location, and you hear the World 2-1 music from the original Super Mario Brothers movie, because they've gone underground, and I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'm sure if I saw this again, I'm sure I will at some point. It probably, when it comes to streaming, I'll be listening out for all the little nods to the classic video game music, and Mario games do have some of the best video game music. They're really iconic. You instantly recognize it. It's so good.
It is. It's you can't miss it. And finally, where to from here? I mean, there are talks. We know there's a Zelda movie in the works. I think I'd read that Donkey Kong is getting his own movie. I think I've read that right. There are rumors of Luigi's Mansion movie. There's a lot of spin-offs that can come from this. But if there was a third Mario movie, do either of you have any ideas about what you'd like to see, or are you just happy for the next one to come along and, bring the surprise that it brings? CJ, I'll throw to you for that one. What would you like from a sequel to the Super Mario Galaxy movie?
Yeah, I mean, there was obviously a little hint at the end, if you stayed after the credits, sort of thing, to what might be coming next. One thing that we haven't mentioned there is I'm sure it was announced before the movie released, was Star Fox being included.
Yes, Glenn Powell.
Yeah, I could definitely see them going down the route of that. They could have a whole movie about that franchise easily. If they decide to go down that route, I'd be more than happy to go along and enjoy that as well. And if the rumors are to be believed, there might be other games in that franchise coming soon. So maybe
yes, I've seen that too. Yes, apparently announcement's imminent. We'll see. Exciting.
But yeah, and another movie, I'd be happy just to see more world building. There's enough sort of bad guys, if you like, that they could easily bring, Wario, Waluigi, whoever in, and they could probably do another 3 or 4 movies with stuff that they have in the direct Mario line, and I would be happy.
Super true. Johnny, how about you? Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, enjoyed this thoroughly, and I'm almost certain that I think this movie is doing quite well globally. So I imagine in a couple of years we'll probably see a third movie to make it a trilogy. And I suspect they will do more of, like, in inserting other Nintendo IPs, kind of slowly building the Nintendo cinematic universe.
I have no doubt you're correct. For me, yeah, I'd like to see them go a little bit weird in the sense of, because this is kind of a big movie that draws on like the history, I feel, in many ways, of the 2D and 3D Marios. I would like to see them lean into like the 2D Mario Maker side or Mario Kart side or Paper Mario side, not necessarily one way, but even if they mixed up the visual style to sort of give that fan service and keep characters true to themselves, I think they could have a lot of fun that way. But we've said a lot about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. We not say more to say the spoilers. Clearly highly recommended by all three of us, and up for multiple views, clearly, as well. What we are going to do, people of Perth and beyond, is we're going to move on to the games, because the three of us have been playing Super Mario Galaxy 1, and then the two of you been playing Super Mario Galaxy 2. It's quite interesting how Nintendo has focused on these games as Wii-era games that have been remasters, and we saw them. The first one released as part of the 3D Mario All-Stars collection for the Switch, and then 1 and 2 were released for the Switch 2 towards the end of last year. HD visuals, they've got control updates, all that kind of stuff. Johnny, I want to throw to you, though, just to set the scene about what your experiences are with Mario Galaxy 1. Did you play it on the Wii? Do you think it holds up on the Switch? Is this a Mario game that you'd recommend to others?
Yeah, look, obviously this is the first Mario Galaxy game is released in 2007 for the Wii. I personally didn't play this on the Wii. I missed it the first time around, but I was able to check it out when it released as part of that 3D collection for Mario's 35th anniversary. I played a fair bit of it at the time. Recently replayed. It's not one I've finished yet. Unfortunately, it's still on my gaming backlog in terms of finishing the game. But have played a fair bit of it, and it's a lot of fun. It does take some time to get used to its unique physics and fairly unique gameplay that tends to take place on spheres or other oddly shaped planets, and it's a fun game. I'm still keen to play more of it, especially as I've picked it up now as part of the Mario Galaxy bundle, which is part of the 40th anniversary celebrations. It's loads of fun. I can see the DNA of Mario Odyssey in a lot of the featured parts of this game, so it's giving me a kind of new appreciation of the building blocks of Odyssey. So, John, have you revisited Galaxy recently?
Yeah, so I didn't have this on. I didn't have a Wii, so I never played it until I got the HD remaster for the Switch in that collection. I hadn't cracked it open until recently when we were preparing for this episode. I really like this game. So I think Nintendo gets a lot of criticism for remakes and remasters, and it's when this came out and you boot it up. Clearly, it doesn't look as good as like Mario Odyssey. Like, it's more basic textures. Some of the character textures are a bit fuzzy, and I think they should have replaced those. And then even some of the backgrounds, like the broader galaxy stuff, is quite flat looking, or again, it doesn't have like that modern sheen to it that you would like from a modern game. But the more I found that I played, the more I just really got into it and didn't notice that type of thing. So for those of you who haven't played this game before, it's not quite a 2D or 3D platform, even though it's 3D. A lot of the platforming is based around these spherical objects, like you said, where they're eggs or they're pieces of fruit or metallic kind of surfaces. And I don't know how to describe it, but wonky gravity physics are the core of this game, so to speak. So you might jump off the edge and then you're sort of leaning forward and you just come up on the other side of this spherical kind of landscape, which is not overly large usually, and it looks quite different. They're all quite unique. So you find yourself zooming from little miniature planets to miniature planet to get to the end goal to get one of these stars. But I love the way it feels. So when Goombas are like coming at you, or bullet bills, the way you jump on them, you kind of like, oh, am I jumping a bit too far to the left? Or it's a bit, because it's such a weird 3D space, you kind of on your toes, I guess, all the time. But it does a lot of clever things as well. Like, so for example, there's a boss fight with the big mech thing that we see in the Mario Galaxy movie that Bowser Jr. is piloting. And, you've got to run up the legs, you've got to avoid the stomp, run up the legs. The Billet Bills are coming down towards you. You've got to jump over them or on them or past them. But then you need to use them to navigate back to this cage that's holding the star to break the cage. And the way, I guess, the really clever thing that they do in this game is they get you to like change your perspective or think in different dimensions almost about the gameplay you're seeing on the screen. It's a very different approach to the Mario platforming aspect, and I really like it. Like I had a blast zooming between stars. I really like that there were segments that are more flat Mario, like just like Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Odyssey, just to ground you a little bit. But even here in the gameplay, you see like Bowser spinning around. That kind of stuff is actually loads of fun. So I'm about 5 or 6 galaxies in. Really love the diversity of the galaxies. I've just opened up like a little sweet treat galaxy by overfeeding a weird little baby star 400 stars. So I don't know why I'm cannibalizing stars to make a baby star a bigger star to create a weird, sweet. I don't know what's going on, but it's a Mario game, so it gets all kinds of weird and wacky. But I'm what I came away with this game is that they could have released this today with a bit better visuals, and people would be having a blast. If you haven't played a Mario game, this is a really good one to just get into and have a laugh with. CJ, what about you? Do you have history with this game, or are you experiencing it for the first time?
Yeah, I played it back in when it released. By the time the Wii was out, I'd kind of moved on a little bit, and I was doing other things in my life. I wasn't involved so much in gaming anymore, but I still had a Wii. I still had Wii Sports, and I still had Mario Galaxy, and that was and the Zelda games. But I definitely played it back then. I remember enjoying it, and coming back to it now, I can see sort of why. There's definitely a few. I don't know if it's just because the game's slightly older now, but there's a few times that I've had like unfair deaths on it, where like sometimes I don't know if it's just something I'm doing, but I find that I'll be playing and then Mario just starts running around in circles, and then
oh, you've got Joy-Con drift.
That's it. So, but it's been really cool. The whole thing you can do with 2 players, and I've had my daughter sitting playing as player 2, and they can sort of shoot the star bits in, and they can collect the star bits, so that you can concentrate on the actual gameplay. Because I find it kind of difficult. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older or what, but it's kind of hard to balance the pointer on the screen collecting things with keeping Mario on the edge of some of the platforms,
I found the same. Like because I played with the Pro Controller, and I'd stop and then I'd collect the stars, and you don't necessarily need the stars as much. You need them in sometimes, but you don't need to collect all of them all the time. So I found that they could be a little bit of a distraction, but I did like that I could shoot them at enemies to kind of like stun them briefly, and then how satisfying is it to kick them off the planet? It's just not like you just like you knock someone over, you're like, I'm just going to boot you. That I love that little mechanic. So did you enjoy this, and is this a game you would recommend for people who are haven't played it before, either with or without Mario experience?
Yeah, personally, definitely. Yeah, it's probably like a good balance of like the old style sort of platforming before it's moved into like the whole worlds of Odyssey and stuff. It's quite a good sort of go between the older style sandbox sort of sandbox, the sort of small levels that you jump between, and the sort of the modern, more open world type stuff. So I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nintendo did produce a sequel, Super Mario Galaxy 2, and that is the one that the hungry Nintendo fans were celebrating the arrival of with the arrival of the Nintendo Switch 2. I personally haven't got it or played it, but I'm going to let you two talk a bit more about it. And, does it hold up? Is it very different to the first game? Are the power-ups quite interesting? Johnny, I'm going to put you on the spot. Talk to me and the people of Perth about Super Mario Galaxy 2. Should they get the 1-2 pack, and what do you like about Super Mario Galaxy 2?
Yeah, so I did pick up the Galaxy pack. So even though I had the first game as part of the 3D collection, uh, at the Nintendo booth at PAX last year, John, you remember, I fell under the awe of the Nintendo booth and I went in for a purchase of the Mario Galaxy bundle. But I'm not regretting it because it meant I could finally play Galaxy 2. I didn't play this one on the Wii. It was a 2010 game. You can tell the difference between the 2007 original and the 2010 sequel. You can see that they've learnt a lot from making the first game. Galaxy 2 does feel like a smoother experience. I can't say that I'm too far into it. I only played the first couple of levels, but I'm enjoying what I've seen. Really like the start to the game is really nice. It's got this kind of like 2D picture book kind of style, whereas you're going through the like opening little intro, like a page is turning in like a pop-up book kind of thing. It's kind of very adorable. I found so far early in the game, I do feel like some of the mechanics are just a little bit tighter, like the controls just feel a little bit tighter. I don't feel I have as much of the sort of feel a bit in the first game a little bit disoriented at times with the camera, the way the camera moves. I feel it's a bit tighter in this one so far. As I said, still very early in the game, but looking forward to playing through it because it's you can tell it's a more polished game than the first one. CJ, have you found that to be the case, or have you got a different take?
Yeah, no, I would agree that it's almost like they were kind of perfecting the kind of or sort of getting rid of the sort of sharp edges with the second one. I would say that it feels like the story in the second one is more of like they've kind of thrown something together to quickly. To me, it feels more like the lost levels sort of stuff.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Where it's like this game is definitely, I found it anyway, a lot tougher. I'm up to about 70 stars on this sort of recent playthrough, and the game kicks my butt sometimes. You know, there's been a few times that I've had to take like 10, 15 goes to finish a boss fight and stuff, and that doesn't normally happen to me. You know,
that's not your typical kind of Mario experience either, where the boss fights tend to be quite easy or straightforward. You know, and then you move on to the levels, which tend to be more difficult as you progress, or like the bonus levels as well.
Yeah, but it definitely gives me those vibes of like they'd probably developed like a lot of levels for the original one that they didn't use, and it's almost like the sort of the cutting room stuff that was cut out the first game and said, right, we'll put it out here on another game, you know. That clip that's on the screen right now, the Spring Mario one, that level, when you reach that one, Johnny, you're going to have a blast.
Yeah, the power-ups, like, yeah, so I haven't played this, but they're spruiking the power-ups like Cloud Mario, Drill Mario, Dash Yoshi, and then Riding Yoshi. CJ, what are the power-ups like? Because they look like a lot of fun. Like, they actually look like they're quite inventive and creative. Is there one, like, did you enjoy them, and is there one that stood out to you?
Yeah, so obviously having Yoshi is cool. You know, it wasn't I don't think he was in the first Galaxy. So it's really cool. And some of the sort of extra controls you get with him is also, there you go, the blimp Yoshi is one of the extra sort of power-ups, you know, which I think was included in the movie as well.
It was a hilarious feature in the movie, yeah.
So good, that scene.
And yeah, the power, I think, I can't remember which ones are specific to it, but you've got the bee suit, and you've got the cloud suit. And yeah, they're all pretty cool. I feel like it's almost like the harder to beat bigger brother of Super Mario Galaxy, you know.
The bigger, nastier Mario Galaxy than the original.
Yeah.
Well, people of Perth and beyond, we are going to have to wrap up soon, but there's a couple of things we do want to wrap up with this episode. Yoshi is a very big part of the new Mario Galaxy movie, and clearly the Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is, as I mentioned, relatively new release. They have been advertising their upcoming Yoshi and the Mysterious book game, which I think a lot of Yoshi fans will be looking forward to. Johnny, I know you're a little bit of a Yoshi fan, and this game is one on your bucket list. Talk to me about Yoshi and the Mysterious look. What do you think in terms of the way it's looking and playing and all that stuff? Are you excited?
Oh, definitely. I have a lot of nostalgia for the Yoshi games, like particularly Crafted World is one of the first video games I played with my daughter when she was fairly reasonably young, like 6 or 7 years old, I think. So me and my daughter are likely to play through this when it comes out. It comes out really close to her birthday too, so that kind of works out nicely. And I can try to justify it as it's a purchase for her birthday and not just another video game I'm buying. So it makes me feel good.
You're doing the right thing as a dad. It's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big Yoshi fan. I was surprised that with the Switch they didn't. So they released Crafted World quite early. I think it was 2018 or 2019. It was showcased quite a lot. It was received okay. Like I'd say it was like the platforming was pretty good and it looked gorgeous. Hey Johnny, like the actual craft aspect.
It's an underrated game for sure.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's a pity that didn't sell as well as it, I guess, should have. But then there was a huge hiatus. We just didn't see Yoshi games for a long time. As a result, unfortunately, we saw about 50 Mario games for the Switch. Even if there isn't a sequel to Odyssey, just saying. But yeah, this coming out for the Switch 2 just looks absolutely stunning. Beautiful art style. Looks like it's really nicely paced. CJ, what about you? Do you have a soft spot for Yoshi, and what are your thoughts on this game coming out?
Yeah, so to be honest, this one had kind of flown under the radar a bit for me. I remember seeing it when they did one of their directs, and it didn't. There must have been something else that excited me more or something on it. And it was only when you mentioned it and I went back and had a look that I realised that this could be another pretty good game. It certainly looks the part. I would say that with over the years, the Yoshi games I've never been overly excited for them when they're announced, and I've never really got into the hype when they're coming out, but I've always ended up picking them up maybe, a month after release or whatever, and I always enjoy them. I always play them sort of right through, and I'm sure with this one it'll be the same, that I'm not overly excited about it, but I will pick it up, and I'm sure I'll have a blast playing it,
Yeah. I'm hoping with this one, because with the trailers, there's been a big focus on the storybook element. So, and the criticism these games get is they might be a bit easy or whatever. But I don't mind a cruisy game that looks great, and I kind of hope that there's some solid platforming in there as well. Like the exploration platforming elements work out well. But People of Perth and beyond, we've covered a whole lot of Mario and even a little bit of Yoshi left. Before we wrap up today, it's only right that we finish with our regular fortnightly segment. There are a lot of anniversaries for video games this year, so Johnny's going to do a quick shout out for a couple of hundred of them right now that we need to kind of mention. Not a couple of hundred, but there's a few.
Just a couple.
Johnny, go.
April is another banger month for video game anniversaries. There is in a couple of days, it's the 25th anniversary of Animal Crossing, the series, in terms of the OG Animal Crossing game back from 2001, which kind of blows my mind.
Wow.
And in a couple of days, it's the 20th anniversary of Okami. I don't know if you remember that game by Capcom.
I know Okami. I've played Okami. Yeah. I love Okami.
Made by
is
Capcom.
So good.
Great sort of Japanese mythology kind of based game. It was awesome. And then towards the end of the month, it's a great bunch of 40ths for some classics from the NES, including Mighty Bomb Jack and Gradius. So that's very exciting. So if you're keen on your video game anniversaries, do check out our Instagram and Blue Sky channels for more on that good stuff.
Nice. And actually on that, the Gradius games are on the modern platforms. There's been a lot of return of those if you missed them from the old days. Likewise with the Okami, for those who don't know, there's a sequel in the works by Hideki Kojima, who did the Bayonetta series. Super psyched for that. It's a lot of potential there. The first game is an absolute sleeper hit if you love the Zelda games or look, just go play it. It is a stunning game and a beautiful, very fulfilling adventure game as well. But that is all we have time for this episode. Any final words, CJ, for the people of Perth and beyond about the Mario Galaxy movie, the games, Yoshi gaming in general that you'd like to put out there to the world?
Yeah, no, if you haven't seen the movie yet or the new movie yet, make sure you get out and see it. It's awesome. Even if you're not a massive Mario fan, you'll enjoy it, and if you are, you'll have a blast.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. Johnny, any final words from you for those non-Mario fans who enjoyed our Sega episode and still reluctant to experience a Mario game for the first time?
Oh no, like go play a Mario game if you haven't played one before. They're great fun. Whether you're more into the 2D, probably personally more of a fan of the 2D Mario games, but the 3D games are brilliant. The Mario Galaxy games are great. As I said, it shows you how it just gives you an appreciation of how they built up to Mario Odyssey a cup, or maybe close to 10 years ago now, and now we're getting to that point, aren't we? So yeah, get in amongst it, and yeah, like CJ says, check out this flick if you haven't seen it, because it's great fun.
Yeah, perfectly said, Johnny. It's a fantastic movie. It's a great games to experience. There's a whole range of them on the Switch 2. If you haven't dived into them, or if there's one you haven't tried yet, go check it out. But that is all from us, people of Perth and beyond. We know some of you will be missing Tim, who's our other co-host. He wasn't able to make this episode or the previous one, but he is back for our next one. And we will be looking at the beat 'em up genres, part 1, some old and new games. So get excited for that. Otherwise, have a great time for the rest of the weekend. That is the Perth Gaming Crew show and CJ Retro. Over and out. See you later.